Okay. So again, it just takes a second.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. I appreciate your patience. Takes a second. Oh, and it's
Okay.
doing that. Okay. All right. What's up, y'all? I'm Diantha, Hire Club's Director of Coaching, and with me today is Leandria Devis, or Davies. Did I say it right? I
It's
mispronounced.
Devis. Yes, you got it right.
Okay. And today we're going to be talking about what it feels like to kind of be stuck in an unfulfilling career and what you can do about it. And Leandria has also been so kind as to create a downloadable free worksheet for you guys to help you get some more clarity around the kinds of things that you find fulfilling in your role at work, as well as things that you find draining, to kind of help you with narrowing down like a good path to give you that sense of greater fulfillment. And I will share a link to that handout at the end of our conversation. But anyway, Leandria, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why this topic is important to you?
Yes, of course. So hello, world. My name is Leandria, as Diantha shared. And so just, a little bit about myself and why this topic is so meaningful to me is because it's part of my story and just how I landed where I am now. So I live in Florida, sunny side of Florida. And so I'm a Florida girl through and through. I don't like the cold, like the warm weather. And so in Florida, my parents are wonderful. My family is a family of educators. And so a lot of them are teachers, principals in the education space. And so when it was time for me to go off to college, I thought about what I wanted to do. And I just said, I'm an educator as well. And I do like educating students and being an impact. So I just felt like, yes, this is it. This is the route I'm going to go down. So I majored in elementary education. And I was that person that did not change her major all 4 years of college. So I declared my freshman year and I stayed with it all 4 years. And I was happy with it. I did like what I was studying. And then especially as you get more into your junior and senior year, you're getting more involved into the field. And as I was doing that, I was enjoying it, but I started to feel like something's not right here. But we're just going to move past that. One thing to know about me is I'm a finisher. So if I start something, I like to finish. So I was proud of myself to say that I started as an elementary education major and I'm going to end as one as well. And so I graduated with my bachelor's, got my elementary education degree, and then I just continued one more year and did a 5-year master's program. So just a total of 5 years. In the 5th year, and working towards my master's, basically internship, full-time teaching, essentially. And I remember just being in that space as a teacher in that classroom. I was like, something's just not right. Something's just not clicking here. I'm doing this, but I'm not really enjoying it. I'm just going through the motions. And I remember my partner teacher, who was also in the same program, she was just excited. She was like, I get a chance to do this. And I was like, that's great. But I'm not feeling that same excitement. So is there something wrong with me? Something just felt off. And then being in the classroom, I also felt like once I get my own classroom, once I go into the real world, things will be different. And so long story short, I graduated, got a job as a teacher in Miami, and I had my own classroom and things were not different. I felt the same way. I felt the same way. And it actually felt worse because I was on my own. I didn't have any support around me. I had support, but it was my classroom. And so I had to lead the students. And that first year was just really tough. One, you're just going into the real world as a new graduate. 2, you're on your own as a teacher in the classroom, and just a lot that you're learning all at the same time. As a teacher, you take on many different hats, and so learning all of that at the same time was a lot. So I just thought it's just growing pains. It's my first year.
It'll get better.
Yeah. So going into my 2nd year of teaching, I remember the first day of school, there was a moment where I just said to myself, this is not it. Like I knew that I cannot go another year teaching. And I finished that year because I'm a finisher. If I start something, I'm going to finish it. But that 2nd year of teaching, it was just really confirmation to me that this is not the field that you want to go down. And, the questions around what's next, what should I do? This is the only major I ever studied in college. Like I haven't exposed myself to anything else. All those questions of what's next for me started rising, but I knew like I could not do another year. So I started looking, in March of that year. And then June came around, the end of the school year, and I still didn't have a job. But I knew this is not it. So I took a big, bold step and just gave them my resignation letter and told them, thank you so much for your time, but I'm moving on to other things. But I didn't know what those other things were. And so it really came for me to start really thinking and reflecting on, what do I like doing? What really energizes me? What am I good at? What are the things that I like doing and I'm good at? As a teacher, I really felt like I was doing the same things every day, and I didn't really enjoy that. I like variety, but it was the same thing every day for the benefit of the students. I was taking work home with me. I didn't like that. You have summers off? Not really. You're still working.
That's a lie.
And there's just a lot of administration stuff as well. Even though you're teaching, there's a lot of things on the back end that everyone doesn't see. And it was just a lot of different things that I did not like in that process. 20 to 30% of the time I was enjoying it. And it's kind of like fumes you just take in to kind of keep it going to the next big event. But for the most part, I was not really enjoying that space. So thinking about what's the next space, I really thought about, what do I like? What do I enjoy doing? What am I good at? Where is the space I also feel supported? Because I had support in that organization, but it really wasn't the greatest support, I would say. So I thought about all those things, and I thought back to my time in college. And during that time, I was actually working at the Career Center as a work study student. And I worked there for 4 years because, once again, once I start something, I'm open. So I worked there for 4 years, but I actually really enjoyed it. And that's why I stayed for 4 years, because one, it was a great space to be in. People who actually cared about my education and what I was doing, even outside of the job, they really cared about me. I also learned a lot. I went from being a receptionist at the Career Center to being a peer career ambassador, is what they called it. And I had a chance to learn about resumes and interviewing and how to talk to employers. And then I was sharing that same information with my peers and then supporting them. So when I was in that space, no job, trying to figure out what's next, I thought about that time, those 4 years, and I said, those are all the things that I really enjoy doing. So what are ways that I can do that moving forward? And so I looked and applied to be a coach at a university in Miami, and they accepted me because I had that experience in college. And so I was even doubtful of that. Will they even consider that? And they did. So it was a process of trying to figure out, who am I as a person, as a professional? I did feel stuck and not really sure where to go. But I think I knew taking that bold step of leaving the job, which I'm not going to tell everyone that's the best step or the step, but for me, it was the step I needed to take to leave the job and then to really start exploring what was really best for me. So that's a little bit about me.
No, I love that. I mean, I've shared this with you before, but I have a similar background. I mean, my background's in mental health, so healthcare sector, but same idea. Knew exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was that girl. And then I got into the real world, same thing of like, this is not what I expected. It's not fulfilling. It's draining. And the paperwork, so much paperwork. I hate it. But yeah, and I didn't actually choose to change careers. I got like downsized and couldn't go back. So, but same idea, getting stuck, feeling like, what's next? What do I do if I'm not this? What am I? Right? No, I love that. So through your experience, what would you say are some major learnings you got?
Yeah, I really had to break away from that finishing mindset, which I think is essentially, I always have a plan. So if my plan is to go in with this and finish with that. So when I didn't want to continue for another year of teaching, I knew my plan was to find a job, but that didn't happen in the timeline that I wanted. So I had to kind of let go of that plan and still move forward with what I knew was best. And so that was one big learning for me, is sometimes your plan changes, and that's okay. That is life, and that's okay. So being able to let go of the plans that you have, also being reflective of me as a whole person. I was setting myself up to do things that I could do, but I didn't really enjoy. And so I had to put down the question of, can I do this? And pick up the question, do I enjoy this? And so that was a huge thing for me of when I was looking at roles. I was thinking about, can I do this and do I enjoy it? Most of the time I was just looking at, can I do it? Yes, let me apply. And then just finding jobs that way, which would have put me back in the same space of where I was. And then just the last thing was that I was able to define who I was, that yes, I had a degree in elementary education. And so going into that university space, I had to really let go of I'm a teacher and step into I'm an educator, but I can educate in different ways. And so as you're a professional, you can pivot, you can shift, but it's about having the right language to do that as well.
Yeah. And I think you had talked to me a little bit about like the 80-20 principle that you had learned. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's like my life's motto because it kind of fits with everything, but it's essentially when looking for the next role for myself, I thought about what do I enjoy doing 70 to 80% of the time? Meaning, can this role really fulfill me and energize me 70 to 80% of the time? Then there's that 20 to 30%. That's part of any job. That's just normal. You're not in love with it. It might be paperwork. It might be having to make calls. It could be, whatever that thing is for you. But that's just the minority of the time. But the majority of the time, what is the work that you're doing? Does it energize you? Are you willing to maybe put in extra hours that no one's telling you to do that? It's just because you like doing it. So that was what I was looking for, that 80%. I want to feel like I'm in a good mental health space in the environment, 70 to 80% of the time. Stress is okay, but it doesn't have to be all the time. There's good stress as well to make sure you're doing your best and bringing excellence. And then also, do I feel energized in this space? And then also, do I feel like I'm being supported 70 to 80% of the time? Because that's important as well. So that's my 80-20 rule. It really works. It really puts things in perspective.
Yeah, and it's kind of the flip of what you experienced, right? Because you said about 30% of the time when you were teaching, you enjoyed what you did, except, 70% of the time, it's a big chunk of time where it's draining. And like, that's a great road to burnout right there.
For sure. And I'll even add that there are some people who are gifted with the talent of discipline. Like they can be really committed or really responsible around things. And so they have the ability to stay in the 70% of dislike because they're disciplined. And I think if that's you, just be aware, if you're a disciplined person, where's your 70, 80%? Are you enjoying it? If not, think about that.
Yeah, it's definitely, I like that rule. Okay, so at a high level, can you tell us a little bit about some of the clients that you've helped in the same way, finding more purposeful work?
Yeah, so I have two that come to mind. One, we're not going to use their real names. The one, we'll call her Anna. Yep. And so Anna was in actually a very similar story that I was in as well, but much longer. So she basically spent 10 years working in the nonprofit space, doing a lot of educating, being in the trenches, doing a lot of impact work, which was great. She was happy to be of help to people. It was a very stressful environment, and that's what defined work for her. So we kind of sat down and she said, I need to find a new job. She was getting ready to leave her job when we started talking, and same concept. She was leaving, didn't have anything else planned, or she didn't have another job lined up. But again, she knew this is not it. I need to find something different. So she left her job, and then we started talking about what does work mean for her. And what we found is that work meant for her stress. It meant Sunday scaries. This before Monday, you're like, oh my gosh, Monday's Monday.
Dreading it.
The dread, it meant this is just a job for me to get paid. It didn't really mean energizing energy. It didn't mean I really enjoy this. I get a chance to do this. It was more I have to, so I can get paid. And so we sat down and redefined that for her. Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it didn't feel purposeful for her. It was just
not at all. Not at all, not purposeful, didn't find fulfillment. There was, touches of it, that 20 to 30% we talked about, that really kind of kept her going, but for the most part, it wasn't there. So in redefining the work, we found that she enjoyed the arts, she enjoyed writing, she enjoyed being able to inform and educate people about history and culture. So there is that education piece that she was really connecting to and felt like the classroom was the only way to do that. But we did some exploration and talked about what energizes you, and those spaces did. So she's now in the process of finding roles that really fit that. And she has so much more clarity now. And even just mentally, the mental health, I can just see there's a shift. When we first started talking, there was like a weight on her shoulders. Now there's more of the abilities, the possibilities of what I can choose to do for myself now and not what I have to do. So that's a great story just for her to have that clarity. And then just the other story where a young lady, she landed a job and us working together, but she was more of a person that was just saying yes to anything. So she was working here as a manager at a restaurant. That's great, don't like that anymore. Then she went to an office setting. Oh, this didn't really fit. Then she went into the classroom. She's like, this doesn't fit. And she was just trying on different things just because. But again, we sat down and talked about what's your 80-20? What are the things that you like doing in your job? What are the things that you don't like doing? And so she saw a pattern around, these are the things that I like doing in my job. So we got really clear on that. We supported her around the resume, LinkedIn, whatnot, and started applying, and she landed a new job and found something that was a lot more aligned to what she wanted. And this is a really cool story as well, because I was one of her references for the job. And so the person called me, and one of the last questions they asked was, do you have, or, would you recommend so-and-so for this shop? And I said, absolutely. And the other girl on the lady on the other line, she's like, oh my gosh, yes, she is a gem. Thank you so much for supporting her to be here. So it was really cool to hear that the client was really happy with where she was going, and that the employer was also very happy because the alignment was there. And so it's just really cool to see that in real time.
Yeah, no, I love that, because it can be hard to really figure out how to connect with a new career type, because you do have to find that language. But when people are enthusiastic about the work, or even the idea of getting the work, I mean, I think there's just that synergy, not to use too many cliche terms here, but no, that's awesome. Okay, so what would you say are some of the biggest barriers that people encounter when it comes to finding purposeful work? I mean, obviously lack of clarity, but what other kinds of things have popped up for people?
Yeah, some barriers I found is money. That's
Mm.
number one, meaning I need to find work that's going to pay me well. And usually what people jump into, which is tech, like go into the tech field, which is great. Yes, you're going to get paid well in the tech field, but there's other places you can go that still can bring fulfillment that doesn't have to be in tech. So again, just the awareness, there's many different roles in the world, organizations, titles, there's a lot out there. And so I think a barrier is sometimes just the awareness of what is available. And usually the way we overcome this barrier is through networking. Most people don't like that word, but it's basically meaning build connections, right? If you're thinking about a certain space, talk to people in that space. And they probably know people in that space, and then they probably know people in that space. So that's one barrier I've seen, is just the awareness, but also the money. I'm going to go where the money is. And usually what happens is when they do that, they're getting the money, but then it goes back to the question of, this doesn't really fulfill me anymore. So there is a both and there. You can get the money and the fulfillment, is what I'm saying. Yeah, that's definitely a barrier I've seen.
Well, it sounds like also people have this assumption about, like, this is the only place I'm going to get this kind of money.
Yes.
Right? So sounds like maybe shifting their beliefs about, like, no, there can be lucrative careers in other places. But no, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Where are we with time? We're still good. So what's like one tip that you might give to people who are maybe stuck in their current role and trying to think of some way to, like, move forward towards something more meaningful? What's a tip you would give them to start that process?
Yeah, so I have some suggestions. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but here's some suggestions. One is to be intentional. So if you are in a role and no one's pushing you out, or there's not a scare of layoffs, you have a role, you're making money. This also brings clarity and peace of mind that you have some financial stability as you're finding this new role. So that's one suggestion, or at least a place to start. Be intentional. If you know you're looking or you're ready to look, then tell yourself, I'm ready to look. I'm going to still give 100% to my current job, because they're going to be your reference, ideally. And then start taking steps to think about, what do you want next? So with that next step of getting out of the stuck place or looking for a new role, is start talking with folks. Talk with your network, people, colleagues in the space who are not going to, share your business with the world. That's a place to start. Family and friends, a place to start. But just start talking to people and asking them, what do they know about the spaces you want to go into? Do they know people you can connect with? Also be intentional with yourself. Take some time to reflect on what do you really want at the end of the day. Putting aside societal trends or what people are telling you should do, but really think about what is it that you want at the end of the day. And if you want to make a pivot, it's definitely possible. It's just also putting in the work as well. And putting in that work is making sure your resume is on point, your LinkedIn is on point, talking with people in the space. Once again, 80% of the jobs and people landing jobs happens through networking.
Yeah.
Applying online works, it does, because I've gotten a job that way for sure. But I've also gotten jobs by just talking to people and they're saying, hey, this person would be really great, and I get referred over. So being intentional about this next step that you want to take your time with it, because you don't have to rush into anything, especially if you're not being pushed out, like I mentioned. But you want to make sure this next job is the job you want, and it's the salary that you want. Once again, you can have both fulfillment and getting paid what you deserve. So also talk to someone around salary negotiation, so you know what options you have and what is a great move and what's just I'm just moving to a new job just to move, which can put you back in the same space.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions for questions that might be key for people to ask when exploring different options?
Yeah, so suggestions to ask themselves or to ask other people?
To ask other people if they're testing out different fields or different avenues, like information interviewing.
So I love doing informational interviews. Here's the reason why, because the focus is not on you, it's on them. And so sometimes we go into interviews and the pressure, what do I have to say? For informational interviews, is really admiring what this person in front of you has accomplished. So if they're in a place that you want to be, ask them, how did you get here? What step did you take? What are some challenges you ran across the way? What advice do you have? Really getting curious about how did they land there. One way I like to do this is, of course, just through my network, but also using LinkedIn. If there's someone I do not know, but they're in the place that I want to be, or I see myself 5-10 years from now, I reach out to them on LinkedIn. And this is one cool tip that I use when connecting with people on LinkedIn, especially if it's a second connection, they don't know you, you don't know them. When you connect, send a message. LinkedIn allows you to do this for free. And when you send a message, it is not, hello, Charlie, I would like a job. Can you hire me? It is, hello, Charlie, I love the work that you are doing. I love the career you've built for yourself. Would love to learn more about you. That's it. Would love to connect. And so people love to talk about themselves, number one. So Charlie's gonna probably be happy that you're reaching out and pretty, excited about, oh, I can share my story. Some people aren't going to respond, some people will, but you've created connection, not by putting the emphasis on you, but on them. And they're going to see this is a genuine person that truly wants to know more about my career. You'll have a great conversation, a great connection. And now they have a person in their mind that I know Johnny reached out to me and we have this role at my organization. He didn't really ask about working with us, but I think he would be a great fit. Boom. It may not lead to a job, but it's a new connection that you have. So that's one tip I would suggest in terms of reaching out and doing tons of informational interviews. Make it natural, make it fit you and your style. But again, the attention's on the person, not on you, but be ready to share about yourself.
We should do a whole other Facebook Live about networking and doing informational interviews. Yeah. All right. So we're almost at time. Any parting words you'd like to share with our audience?
Yes, I have so many words, but to just make sure to keep it short, this is possible for you. If you are feeling stuck and you're not really sure what's next, it is 100% possible for you to land that next job. It might take work, it might take time, but it is possible. So just making sure you're staying in environments like this where people can provide suggestions to you. You have a coach coaching along the way, but don't feel like all hope is lost, especially if you've been in your profession for 10, 15 plus years. learn to use what we call transferable skills, and then also be ready to speak in confidence about yourself. If you go in confidently and genuinely and authentically, people will say, yes, I like that person. So you got this. I'm here to help and support. And then just get surrounded by community, others that are in this space as well.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So if you guys are interested in learning more about Leandria or potentially booking a free 20-minute session with her, I'm going to be sharing both the handout that I talked about at the beginning of this conversation, as well as a link to her page on Hire Club. So check it out. And Leandria, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes.
And we'll probably talk again soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.